It's a redneck nation, I'm saying it loud. I got 3 speeds on, off, and bust your mouth. Don't cry, little boy, when them feelings get hurt. You know a buckle won't shine face down in the dirt. It's the life we know, stay thicker than blood. Try and sneak into the swamp, get stuck in some mud. Big buck, full clip, mud jump, pack lip. No canoes in the creek, gonna need a full ship. We're everywhere, like shit in a pen. Look left, look right, stepped in us again. Yeah, we're loud and we're proud, stand out in the crowd.
And we don't fool everybody like that Hicks Life clown.
We don't knock the life, cause we live like Hicks. But dude lies like a dog, better check it for ticks. Yeah, it is what it is, and I'm keeping this grin. It's a redneck nation we live in.
Ladies and gentlemen, brothers, cousins, next of kin, stand up tall and represent the redneck nation we live in. Redneck nation we live in. Redneck nation we live in.
You're smaller than a tick turd, you don't want the big dog. Better bring the whole herd, messing with these wild hogs. Redneck nation, stronger than a freight train. Always stick together like a brand new snatch chain. We stomp hard everywhere that we walk, and we never stop and think, man, before we...
What is going on, you dipping maniacs? Welcome to the Mud Jug 1 channel. I am your host, the Dip Doctor himself. Now, as you can tell by the title, we are going to be talking about dipping today. Imagine that. Yes, this is a dipping channel. You don't like dipping, then you know what to do. I hope you guys like that intro. Want to do something different. By the way, this shirt is available. The PBR White Trash shirt is available at Redneck Nation Clothing Company. As well as the song that I played in the intro. That is a Moccasin Creek song. That song is called Redneck Nation. So a lot of people saw my last video, how smokeless tobacco can save your life, and I want to thank all the support that I got after posting that video. I didn't think it was going to help as many people out as it did, and I mean, there's people emailing me and messaging me, man, thanks for that, I quit smoking after that video, and my dad's quitting smoking, and I'm not worried about dipping anymore, on and on and on. So it made me feel good. Posting that video made me feel like I actually made a difference. So what I wanted to do is because of that video, I've had a ton of people ask me, hey man, I saw your video, how smokeless tobacco can save your life. You know, I want to know, I have no idea about dip. I don't know how to pick what certain dip should I try. I'm a beginner. I mean, I smoke this cigarette or I don't smoke. I mean, all these questions. So, as you guys know, I'm here to help. So, all you experts out there, if you don't want to watch the video because you're an expert, I totally understand. So feel free to click the big red X. I'm sure I'm going to miss something. I made notes. I wanted to try and be as clear and concise as possible. But the first thing is even beginners, a lot of beginners don't know there's a difference between dip, chew. I mean, some people call it cha, some people call dip chew. I mean, whatever the case may be, call it what you want. Cans like these are normally called dip, okay? Class is in session, by the way, so wake the hell up. Some people call this chew. Man, I need to chew. I know a lot of people who call it chew, but this is basically moist, long cut. Some people even call it snuff, but it's really not snuff. Smokeless tobacco. So you got the long leaf chew or cha, otherwise known as Red Man, Levi Garrett, what have you. Now you have cheap dip, you have middle of the road dip, and then you have premium dip as far as prices. And I am a true believer in the fact that the cheap dip tastes like cheap dip, and it tastes like shit. And the middle of the road tastes okay, and the premium tastes the best. That's just my opinion. You get shithorn, otherwise known as longhorn. You know, I got this for $1.59. You can get this for 99 cents, 89 cents some places, but this tastes like ass. And then you get, sorry all you Grizzly fans, but Grizzly is kind of a middle of the road dip based on the price, and then you have Copenhagen, Skoal, Kodiak. Those are all more premium dips, which are going to cost you more money. So you have different cuts of dip, okay? Again, in the can. You have fine cut. And some people categorize Copenhagen Snuff as a fine cut. I would say it is a fine cut, but a lot of hardcore Copenhagen Snuff users, oh no, that's different. It actually, Snuff, I think, is even finer than fine cut, depending on the brand. Some companies' fine cut isn't as fine as another brand's company's of fine cut. So, just like buying a pair of shoes, not all 13s fit my big ass feet. Sometimes I need 13 and a half. Anyway, so you got fine cut, then you have, you even have some mid cuts, but generally speaking, you have fine cut and you have long cut, and that's pretty much it. Now, my dip of choice, which is Copenhagen long cut, is not as long cut as Copenhagen wintergreen long cut. So, but the Copenhagen long cut is the original. Most long cuts are the same as Copenhagen long cut, let's say. Skol is about the same. Grizzly long cut's about the same. You also have pouches. Most major dip brands offer a pouch. Grizzly wintergreen pouches, Copenhagen pouches. Pouches will get you less tobacco, less nicotine. Give you less nicotine, generally speaking, and they will not generate as much saliva, so you won't have to spit as much. A Copenhagen or Grizzly wintergreen pouch is somewhat equivalent to the snus that you see, the European snus, which is huge, obviously, in Sweden, and also there's a couple American-made snooses, Camel snus and Marlboro snus. Those are American companies. That snus is completely different, in my opinion, than the snus that you find in Sweden. And there is a shitload of types of snus in Sweden. They have loose snus, and they have pouches, otherwise known as portions, when it comes to the Swedish type, European type snus. Now, a lot of people who are switching over from cigarettes, they get a certain amount of nicotine. Now, that's ranges, depending on the cigarette, from about 1 to 2.5% based on weight. So, if you're transitioning from cigarettes to dip, you're going to have to get a dip that's stronger. So, especially if you're smoking stronger cigarettes, you can't go with, this is the weakest possible dip you can possibly buy. This is what I started dipping when I was 10 years old. This is called Hawken. It's kind of hard to find. They don't even sell it here where I live. And it's the weak. If you're a beginner and you've never smoked and you want to start dipping for whatever reason, you want to give it a shot, get a hold of some Hawken. This has 0.6% nicotine per volume of weight versus Copenhagen, Grizzly, Skol, Kodiak. Generally speaking, these ones have about 3%. So 0.6, not even 1 on a Hawken, and 3% nicotine level. Some cigarettes, like I said, they're 1 to 2.5. So depending on what you want to do, if you're smoking Marlboro Reds like it's going out of style because you want to blow your freaking lungs up and kill yourself, and you want to change that and you want to switch to dip, I suggest you're probably going to have to go hardcore out of the gate. Get some Copenhagen or, Grizzly even. Even some Skol actually has pretty high levels of nicotine. I've had people ask, why do you guys make that noise with your finger when you pack? How do you do that? Well, obviously it's so we can pack it. Because the reason you pack it is so you can grab a pinch, so you're not diving into a dip can where dip is all loose and you can't get a hold of enough to put it in your mouth. Alright, I grabbed the Copenhagen here. Let me do that again. Let me shake it up first. 3's all you need. There you go. Okay. And what I do is once I open it, pack open, you put the lid underneath and you push it against the side. It's hard to show you guys. Okay. It's almost like eating rice with chopsticks, damn it. Don't you rednecks know how to eat with chopsticks? So, when it's here, okay, a lot of rookies need fingers, and that's fine, 2 hands, what have you. This is still the same. I don't need to put this down and grab my lip or anything. And you should be able to get to that point where putting a dip in takes you less than 1 second. But anyway, what I do is, the key is to use your tongue when you put it in. You see a lot of guys, they put their fingers in there and they're chewing, yeah. I'm going to try and explain how I do this. It's just second nature to me, but what I actually do is I actually put it in my mouth like I'm going to eat it. I put it right on my tongue, in my mouth, where I'm going to eat it. I don't put it in my lip, guys. I don't put it in my lip. Let me put another pinch in. I'll move this to the side. Okay, I'm going to put another pinch in. Yeah, I put it right on my tongue. I don't stick my tongue out. I open my mouth like I'm going to eat it. And I put it on my tongue. And then push it into my lip with my tongue. Mud jug of the day? Of course, Confederate camo mud jug. The best, hottest selling mud jug ever. Damn it. That's how you put a dip in, guys. It might take some practice, you know, but you shouldn't need 2 10 fingers to put it in. Again, the key is to use your tongue. Now, once you have it in, I have a lot of people tell me, hey man, I don't know what to do. My dip's falling everywhere. Every time I spit, half my dip comes out. That's because you're not using your tongue, guys. I don't know how many times I got to say it. If I'm talking right now and there's dip coming loose, especially because I just put one in, I can feel it on my tongue and I just put it back on the pile. About spitting, guys, because a lot of beginners, I've seen guys heard, hey man, you got a dip on you? Oh yeah, sure, of course, man. Give them a dip and put one in, and you know, like country concerts are funnier than hell because all these people come out in there and they get their country gear on and their cowboy hats and their boots and shit, and the things none of their attire has seen any dirt or a day's worth of work, and they got a can of dip in them. I've asked guys, hey man, you got a dip on you? Oh yeah, pull a can out. It's expired and hasn't even been opened. They got it in their back pocket for looks. But anyway, you know, spitting, guys. Beginners don't know how to spit. Like I've given people dip that wanted to try it and they just don't know how to spit. So I want to demonstrate how to spit for all the rookies out there and the people who want to know. You don't, you don't spit like that. You know what I mean? You almost have to squeeze it out of your mouth so it shoots and you get a clean break. Because you can go, all right, but then you get shit on your lip. You suck the juice off of the dip, and it's in your mouth. You know, it's in your mouth, obviously. And then you squeeze it out when you spit. That way you get a clean break. I don't know. It's hard to explain how to spit properly on camera. Like that. The other question I get, how long do I need to leave a dip in? Or how long do you leave a dip in? Well, that's all personal preference, guys. I typically leave it good hogger in for probably 45 minutes, sometimes an hour. After that, it's pretty much the flavor's gone. It depends on the size, guys. A lot of people ask me, what size of dip? Well, if you've never dipped before, then you can't really put a big pinch in, you know? I mean, we're talking, you know, a little tiny pinch at first when you're first starting, guys. And then you'll eventually work your way up if you feel you need to. But the less that you can put in, the cheaper it is. And you know, the less nicotine you're gonna feel. If you're a hardcore cigarette smoker and you want to switch over to dipping, then you're gonna have to put a pretty decent sized hog ski in. It ain't gonna be the size of a dime. It's gonna be more like the size of a quarter. If I put a pinch in that's too small, it just doesn't feel right to me. For me, it's not the nicotine. I don't get a buzz unless I haven't dipped all day and I put a giant freaking monster hog leg in there. Then I'll get a little bit of a head rush, but it don't last very long. But I need to have a substantial amount in there for it to feel right. And for me, that's part of dipping. It may sound weird, everybody's different. It's like smokers. They want to hold something. Like when they try and quit smoking, they're holding a pen. They're like, oh shit, yeah, that feels good. Oh damn. So yeah. So when you first start dipping, leave it in 10 minutes. Take it out. If you start to get a little bit of a head rush and you start to get a little nauseous, if you don't dip and you don't never smoke and you put a dip in, you're gonna feel it. I've given dips to tons of people and little guys, and they're just like, whoa, zinging. Some of them have thrown up. So you just gotta wean on it, guys. Depends on where your body is at. So packing a tin, guys. Okay. The best way to practice, you can practice with a tin. First of all, practice with a tin that is not open, or a fiberboard can where the lid doesn't come off. Another thing, I keep my dip in the freezer, and if you put a can in the freezer or fridge where it has an aluminum or a tin lid and a plastic bottom, what happens, I think the plastic contracts, I think it shrinks, and makes the lid really loose. So if you go in there and take it out, be careful, because the lid, you'll notice the lid will be a lot more loose. Obviously that doesn't happen on the fiberboard cans because the fiberboard doesn't shrink, and these are on pretty tight too. So just be aware of that. But definitely use an uncracked can to practice with. Now I started practicing by just doing this with my finger. Okay, what I do is I put my two fingers together like this, and this finger is just loose, and it's all on the wrist. It's all on the wrist, boys. Right? I'm not doing this. This finger is slapping on here. But you gotta practice. You gotta get it loose. Okay, that's how you can twack this. Oh, you can twack it real loud and be cool and do it 600 times. No, you don't need to do that. Especially with fiberboard cans, because they put wax inside these cans. And if you pack these too hard, the wax chunks will fall off. It's not necessary. 3 is plenty, guys. You can also side pack. It's the same. Instead of holding it like this and hitting your finger on here like that, right? You can hold it like this and hit your finger on top. It does the same damn thing. It doesn't make the fancy noise, and you're not going to look like a badass, as much of a badass if you're side packing. Well, maybe you will though, because side packing is a little harder to do for some people. I don't fucking know. Walk around, do it to the music. Where's my Moccasin Creek? Damn it! Shit! So I think that's about it for me, guys. I hope I helped the beginning dippers out there. We're all brothers here, guys. We got the dipping community. Next is the Smokeless Tobacco Association of America. And remember, if it ain't dip, it ain't shit!